Okay. We are here in the case of Tarek, am I saying that correctly? Wolf. Case number is 22J 150 trailer 1. So we're here for, I don't have a docket sheet, Ms.
Temporary removal hearing.
Temporary
Judge.
removal hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do you want
Okay.
a set of headphones? We need that? Okay. She is gonna need some hearing assistance.
Having trouble hearing you.
Okay, I understand that. I do too. We have
Tony, she's gonna need a hearing.
a hearing device.
Thank you. I think we're ready, Judge.
Okay. All right. So we're here for temporary removal here. Mr. Burton, you represent Ms. Wolf.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do I need to go through the rights or the allegations in the
We
petition?
do request a removal. You don't, we'll wait for formal reading of the rights and formal reading.
Okay. And so is there some agreement on
No.
the removal? Okay.
No, sir.
Then, Ms. Gibson, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Judge. We'll call the petitioner, Tanya, is it Wabe?
Wabe.
Wabe, to testify, Judge.
Okay. It's spelled Wahbeh.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. All right.
And Judge, she looks like she's gonna read off paper. I'm gonna object. She's gotta do some type of testimony from personal knowledge.
Okay. Is that something that helps refresh your recollection?
I'm not gonna read off of it, I just have it open in case I had to remember something that I wanted to say. It's actually a letter that I wrote to you.
Okay. Well, when you say the letter you wrote, when you're talking about this handwritten?
No, this is something I wrote this morning out from my heart.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know that I've seen that. I haven't read
If you
it.
haven't, I just wrote it and nobody has asked me for any of the information, so I'm just holding it here in case I need it.
Judge, we're gonna object to any ex parte communication.
Yeah, I haven't seen any, so. Okay, then when you're testifying, if there's something you need to refer to that document in front of you, in order to refresh your recollection, then you may do that, but you need to tell the court about it first, okay?
Sure.
In other words, that'll be good. All right. Then let me ask you to raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State your name, please.
My name is Tanya Wabe.
Okay, thank you. You may ask.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Wabe, how are you related to Tarek Wolf?
I'm his maternal grandmother,
And are you his mother's mother or his father's mother?
his mother's mother.
Okay, so Miss Wolf, Miss Tabitha Wolf is your daughter?
Yes, she is.
And where are you employed?
I work for the Warren County School.
Warren County Schools?
Yes, I work at Plano Elementary.
Okay. And did you file the petition that's before the court today?
I did.
To the best of your knowledge, are the facts and allegations in that petition true?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Would you tell the court, please, why you are requesting temporary custody of this child, please?
For so many reasons. It is with a heavy heart that I have, sorry, give me a moment, please. I'm watching my daughter, Tabitha, fall deeper into a depression. She's been unemployed and telling me that she's depressed, that she can't get herself out of bed. And she tells me that she drinks beer and smokes pot on a regular basis to
She told you that?
Yes, she's told me that. I've seen the cases of beer cans in the trash at her house because I have a father in hospice care that lives directly next door to her, and so I'm there with him several days a week. And then when I'm not there, I have my grandson, the one in this case today, with me at her request. She sends him home with me because she'll tell me, I can't handle it, I'm so stressed out, I need a break.
How often does she send the child to you?
I'd say any day that I'm not working the next day. He's been with me every weekend this month.
Any other days of the week? I mean, do you work 5 days a week or?
I do work 5 days a week. When we have like a teacher-parent day, where we have a work day where the kids, and I'm working from home, I'll tell her, I'm off tomorrow, or Bella's out of school because there's no school tomorrow, which is my 15-year-old daughter, her sister. And I'll say, we're off, and she'll say, well, yeah, can you watch him for me? I need a break.
Okay.
And he's welcome anytime. He's very happy when he's at the home. He loves his aunt who's 15. They've kind of grown up together, and she's changed his diapers since he was born, and she's really close to him. And she does a whole curriculum for him when he's at her house. He has his own little desk and everything that he works at.
In the petition, you say that your daughter has a diagnosis of bipolar disorder.
Yes.
Can you tell the court when she was diagnosed with that, please?
I'm gonna object to this unless she's gonna present certified medical records. I mean,
Tabitha has those in her possession. I gave them to her.
I'm talking.
Okay.
I'm gonna object unless she's gonna testify that she's a mental health professional. That's hearsay. Unless she's got the records.
No, it's whether or not she has personal knowledge of it, and she was the child's mother at the time, so she has personal knowledge of it.
Well, then I'm gonna ask that her testimony to be limited to when the child was around. So I'd ask it to be limited. The last 13 years, she not be able to testify now because she's 31.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not going to work, Judge. She can obviously testify about anything that Ms. Wolf's told her during the past 13 years.
Well, I'm talking about as far as any mental health diagnosis. I mean, if she's not going to produce the certified medical records, or
This is not the trial, Judge. This is the probable cause hearing.
Well, I'm gonna overrule the objection and allow her to testify about it.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
When was your daughter diagnosed with bipolar disorder?
Say at the age of 16.
And what state would that have been in?
It was in Columbus, Indiana.
Was she diagnosed by a physician?
Yes, multiple physicians in hospitals and psychiatrists over the course of about 3 years.
Was she prescribed any medication?
She was, multiple medications.
And to your knowledge, after she became an adult, did she continue to take those?
No, as an adult, she considered herself managed and self-managed it by using drugs and alcohol to cope with her stress.
Has she ever attempted suicide?
She has.
And when was that?
Close to her 18th birthday.
And when you say close, would she have been over 18 or less than 18 at the
I
time?
think she was over 18 at the time. She had just gotten felony charges pressed against her, and her close friends had been in a terrible accident. She lost a friend, and she was very depressed. She nearly succeeded in dying. She was in a coma for a few weeks in the hospital. I stayed by her side the duration of her hospital visit. Once she became lucid and aware, they found her to be very agitated, and they placed her in a hospital for mental health. Once she's medically able to go to leave the hospital for medical reasons, then they placed her in a mental health hospital and in residential treatment for about 9 months total from start to finish.
So she was in a psychiatric hospital for 9 months?
Part of it was a psychiatric hospital, then a replacement into a residential treatment program where she continued to receive psychiatric and medical care.
To your knowledge, has she ever attempted suicide since then?
Not that I know of. I mean, she's made threats, but she's never attempted or followed through on anything.
When was the last time she made a threat?
Maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago time frame. She was upset because her and the father of the child had a fight, and the child was with me, and she said, "You keep the kid, y'all do whatever with him, I'm gonna fucking blow my brains out."
And you said that you thought she was depressed?
Yes, she's told me multiple times in the last several weeks that she's depressed, she's worried about her own mental stability, she can't get herself out of bed, she stays in bed all the time, and that the only thing that she's able to cope with is the drinking and the marijuana that she smokes on a daily basis.
Go ahead.
I don't know that I don't not stop me if I shouldn't say this, but also while I have her son in my custody, you know, he would come up to me and he'll kind of whimper, "What's wrong, son? You know, what's going on? What's the matter?" And he'll say, you know, I'm sad. I don't want to go back to mommy because all she does is tell me to bring her another beer and stay in bed, and she yells at me a lot, and I'm scared at home. And so, you know, he's picking up on the depression, and I'm just worried for his safety, but I'm also very much worried for my daughter's safety, because I know in me taking her son away, he's the best thing that ever happened to her. Her not having him is gonna throw her in a downward spiral. Walking him to the car yesterday and putting him in my car and driving away, I could see the anger, but I saw it behind the eyes of her anger. I could see the hurt. And I'm worried about her as much as I am for my grandson.
Okay, and you said she was unable to work, is that correct?
Right, she's not been able to hold a job since this time, almost this time last year.
What happened then?
She had been working at the animal shelter successfully. Everyone thought highly of her. She was well liked, and she loves animals more than people most days. She was really good at her job, and she had a confrontation with someone, a client, and her boss reprimanded her, and she said F it and walked away from the job. They tried to get her back.
Is this hearsay? I mean, was she there when this happened? I mean, I guess.
How do you know that? Did she tell you?
Yeah, she called me immediately.
Objection, leading question.
I don't know the answer to that, Judge. That's not a leading question. Did her daughter tell her or
She
not?
called me immediately when it
just a
happened. Okay,
minute.
yes, sir.
Just
Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay. Your
I mean,
objection.
I get it, some hearsay is admissible, I get it, and I get it's reasonable grounds, but I mean, I get it's a small hurdle, but it's still a hurdle.
This is not hearsay, Judge. This is admissions by a party opponent. So
Did-
asking her, how did she know that? It's certainly not leading. Did she tell you? I don't believe it's leading either, because I truly don't know how she found out.
It's it's the court's understanding that these are statements of Ms. Wolf, and for anything she says to be
I'm just, at what point, why she got fired, what relevance is that to that, Judge? What difference is that? Half the world's unemployed right now. Can I talk, please?
If they are unemployed, they ought not be, because there's never been a time in the history of planet Earth that's
Yeah.
better to get a job than right now. But I believe that it goes to issues of stability. That's what concerns the witness, and so I overrule the objection.
Thank you,
You may
Judge.
ask.
How did you know about her job?
She called and discussed it with me, and she talked about it in person multiple times. You know, anybody that knows her knows how much she loved that job. She had problems with coworkers like you would anywhere, but she loved the animals more than anything. And she has been in a downward spiral. I think that was the catalyst that started the downward spiral. Because she loved it so much, and she lost the ability to do what she loves because of interpersonal issues with, whether it be clients, staff, people, customer, whatever you call a person that goes with Humane Society. She just has not been able to get a job or been willing to get a job. I don't know what the contents of her mind is, but you know, she's not worked since then. She's not gainfully employed, and since the biological father has moved out of the home, she's not able to continue to pay her bills until she gets gainful
Objection, Your Honor, that
employment.
calls for speculation. Has she seen her eviction letter? Has she seen her electric bill?
And may I answer?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Response.
I think she's welcome to answer that, how she would know.
How do you know?
Your Honor, I have paid her car note myself this month. I have brought 3 trips full of groceries to her house at her request because she couldn't afford money or afford groceries. That's how I know.
Okay.
And I have those receipts if you need them.
All right. You may ask.
Thank you. And you mentioned she's been diagnosed bipolar. Have you seen any behavior that's concerning to you recently?
Right, yes. With her bipolar disorder, she's either manic or depressed. And so she's self-reporting the depression, but the manic behavior, she alternates between them, and it's obvious when she's scared, panicked, or out of control, she's raging. I actually have my dad and my 15-year-old daughter and my dad's brand new caretaker were there last Monday when I brought her groceries. And I just saw her out walking the dogs between the houses, and I said, hey, I've got some groceries for you. And she went into a tailspin, and the new caretaker just looked at me and he said, do you need me to call the police? That crazy woman over there is acting crazy. And I said, that's my daughter. That's your daughter behaving like that? She was.
Objection, I mean, that's like,
I'm just stating that there are witnesses besides family members that would be able to testify to this if necessary.
And what, if anything, led to her outburst?
I really couldn't tell you.
Would that have been 2 days ago, or?
No, that would have been a week ago Monday.
9 days ago, okay.
That was the first time I brought her groceries. She wouldn't let me bring the groceries into the house. She told me to set them on the ground and to leave. There were a lot of expletives. And I honestly couldn't tell you. I was dumbfounded like everybody else that was witnessing it as to what the raging behavior was in reference to.
Okay, how did the child come to be in your physical custody at this time?
Well, this past Friday, I was at my dad's caring for him with his caretaker and his nurse and his social worker, handling some of his end-of-life decisions, and my grandson knocked on the door and came in and said, Mommy said you're gonna take me home with you. And I said, okay, and didn't send any clothes or anything over with him. So
Did you speak to your daughter about that?
I did. I asked her, and she said, well, you said you had some for him. And I usually have a couple outfits for him, but I try to send them back with him when he goes home so that he has clothes. I actually bought him some new clothes this past week and gave them to her so that he had some new spring attire with the weather warming up. So, yeah, so he was with me until day before yesterday when her and Devin Gray chased me down as I was taking my 15-year-old to the urgent care for pink eye that she had. And 911 was called, and they placed him back in her custody. And I went to the courts, came here yesterday and filed for a petition that I had filed with the CPS on Friday, previous Friday.
Okay, who's Devin Gray?
I'm not sure the state of the relationship, but he's been living in their home for the last 6 weeks. He's on again, off again boyfriend, and I'm not gonna, unless you ask her. I'm not gonna
And who
say.
lives in the home? Can you tell the court that?
Currently, it is just Tabitha and her son when he's with her, and this Devin Gray.
Okay.
My dad is very concerned about his granddaughter and his grandson, great-grandson, and so he watches out there, out the window. They're literally 50 feet apart, and he watches and he reports to me almost all the time. That boyfriend of hers is about to
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay,
What are your concerns about the boyfriend,
what's his name?
if you have any? I don't.
Well, the fact that he's also a felon, he's been very aggressive in communication with myself, and he seems to agitate Tabitha. She told me Thursday of last week when I came over to bring her a third set of groceries, she said, I had to call his mom and have her get involved because he's on parole and I don't want to get him back in jail. But he was banging on the roof of my car when I was asleep in my car in the driveway, and then he was trying to kick in my door and get into my house, and he stresses me out, and I'm so glad I've got him out of my life again because I don't need any men, I just need to get myself together. And I was encouraged on Thursday, he was back again on Friday.
Okay. And, in the petition that you filed, you alleged that there have been drug paraphernalia in the home. And have you ever asked your daughter about that?
Yes. Twice I've had a conversation with her because before the biological father, Kyle Webb, moved out of the home, he reported to me that the last day that he was in the home, he came home from work at 5:30 or whatever in the morning and saw a crack pipe on the floor in the bathroom, and that he was upset that his son might have gotten up and stepped on that in the middle of the night. And so I asked Tabitha directly about it, and she said, oh yeah, that's Gary, he's messed up right now, and that's a friend of hers that she's known since she's moved to Kentucky. And she said he's homeless and he's using a lot of drugs, and that was his crack pipe. And I said, so you're allowing Gary to use crack in your house when your son is home? And she said, well, not anymore, I'm not letting him in the house anymore. And so I asked her twice about that, and both times she stated yes, that was Gary's and not hers, and that, I said, you can't have people like that doing those things around your son in your home. It's not safe for him. She, reluctantly agreed, but continues to have these people coming into her home with her son there.
We passed the witness, Judge.
Mr. Burke.
So, given this petition, you say that she's a felon? You seem to have a thing against felons. But when did she actually get this felon?
Around her 18th birthday, right after she turned 18.
Which was how long ago? How old is she now?
She's 31.
So 13 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just trying to figure out why her having a felony 13 years ago, what does that have to do with today?
I love my daughter immensely, and her having a felony has been a detriment to her ability to get a license, keep jobs, get apartments. She can't buy her own car because of it. There's things that she's been not able to do. That's not what I'm upset about. What I'm upset about is I was counseled that two felons were not supposed to be cohabitating.
Who said that? Who told you
With the
that?
police officer, when I taken back to his mom 2 days ago, mentioned it to me, and then I asked, and I looked up on the internet, and I found that in Kentucky that is a law. So,
Are you sure? Google told you
I don't
that?
know why you're having an attitude with me, sir.
Well, I'm just trying to tell me two felons can't live together. And I mean,
Well,
that's just,
there are exceptions, and they don't qualify for those.
that's,
So the fact that this felon who has drug charges and other things against him is in the home with my daughter, who's trying to get herself on her feet and take care of my grandson in a healthy manner, is concerning to me. And the fact that this man has been aggressive towards me and has banged on my door when my 15-year-old daughter was terrified.
did you call the police?
No, they called me.
And, you also had said that whenever you have an off day, you'll call her and tell her that you're off? Whenever y'all have an in-service day at school?
Yeah, I let her know what my schedule is and offer to help out because she's
Okay. Well,
stressed out. She's self-reporting to me that she's stressed out and can't handle it and needs a break.
Well, I'm just saying, the petition reads like she's just saying she's dropping him off, but he's actually welcome in your house, right?
Of course he's welcome in my home. I
Okay.
love
And you've
him.
never told her, no, he can't come, have you?
Why would I do that?
I'm asking the question.
No.
Okay. I didn't see anything in your petition about him coming to your house and you were concerned that he was adequately fed or anything. So is he fed when he comes to your house?
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask him. Sometimes he comes hungry, sometimes he comes fed.
But he's not, you don't have any reason
But I
to
don't
believe
think that he's malnourished. I don't think that at all. He's a very intelligent young man and he is very capable of making his own
Who are
food.
you talking about?
My grandson Tarek,
Okay.
when he comes to my home, you know, like any situation when a grandmother gets their child, hey, are you hungry, buddy? Did you have anything to eat? I'm not petitioning anything in there that he's not been fed.
And have you seen an eviction notice posted on the door?
No, but she has told me that she's $2,000 past due.
When was that?
Yet last night when she came to my home,
And this Gary with the crack pipe, that was, so mom and dad were both present at the house when Gary was there?
I don't know.
Okay.
Dad was at work when he came home and found that.
From what he's telling you?
From what I've been told,
Yeah, from what he's telling you, right?
yes, sir.
Does he have felonies? Does dad have felonies?
He has none.
Huh?
He has none.
And this suicide attempt, that was actually, looks like it was like 17 years ago.
No. That would have put her at age 14. This
Huh?
happened when she was 18 years old.
So about 13 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And does Tabitha tells you when she's depressed and having some issues?
Yes.
And did you find her to be honest and forthright when she does that?
I wouldn't understand why she would tell me otherwise, so,
That's fine.
if somebody comes to you, you have to assume that they're telling you they're depressed, you have to assume that they're reporting it honestly. As her mother, I wouldn't tell her you're lying about being depressed, no.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. I don't have any further questions.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
6 or 7 weeks ago when Tabitha threatened to blow her brains out, what happened after she made that threat?
I kept her son for a few days and tried to get her to calm down and give her some time and some space and let her know that we're there for her if she needed help, but recommended that she get the help. She didn't follow through with any actions, but it's still concerning as a mother that, you know, you've had a daughter who's tried to attempt this before and that she's making these threats again. And I, you know, reminded her son needed her and we needed her to get well.
You said that she drinks and uses marijuana every day. How is that affecting her ability to parent her child?
It is my understanding from all of the years of therapy and hospitalizations that she's been through and my knowledge of drugs and alcohol, which is limited only to what I can read and learn about, is that
Objection, now that's no basis in fact. I mean, what she can read and learn about, I get it, Google's a source now, I get it, it's a learning treatise, I get it, but I'm objecting to this, Your Honor, it's cause for speculation.
Let me
Response.
withdraw the question. I'm going to rephrase.
Okay. Go ahead.
What have you observed with your senses?
sure.
How has her drink, if at all, how has her drinking and marijuana use affected her taking care of her child over the past 12 months?
Absolutely, I can answer that. So, in the last 12 months, after the job loss, I have noticed that when I do come to the house, when I come to the door, and if both parents were in the home, she would be in bed. She would send Kyle to get Tarek ready to pack his things up, to bring him to the door. She wouldn't come to the door herself. She has been either very agitated and angry, or very depressed and sad and feeling like she can't get her head off the pillow and come to the door and socialize. She's withdrawn from activities with her son and her son's father over the last 12 months, where she used to do a lot of outdoor kayaking and going out and doing things. She's just not been doing those things as much. She pretty much stays at home and in bed and hanging out with her friends that also partake in drugs and alcohol.
Okay. Devin Gray, when did he move in? When did he move out?
To my knowledge, he was there as recent as yesterday. I haven't been by there today. He's been there for about 6 weeks. And his car's there at night. My visits to my dad 3 or 4 times a week when I'm able to go to visit and take care of my dad. He's there. I see his car there. And they're always together.
Whose crack pipe was on the floor in the bathroom?
I don't know that these things have ownership. I know that it was there, and I know when I asked Tabitha, she said that it was her friend Gary's.
Maybe I asked you the wrong question. How long has Gary lived in Tabitha's home?
To my knowledge, he has not lived in her home, but when I asked her about the crack pipe, she continued to say that he's homeless, he's living in his truck with his dog, and that she was just trying to help him out, and that's why he was there.
When was Gary there that this crack pipe was allegedly discovered?
This is approximately 3 weeks ago.
Since Tabitha, well, over the past couple of years, has Tabitha been in therapy or seen a psychiatrist to your knowledge?
I do know that she was a couple of years ago seeing a therapist. I don't know if it's a psychiatrist or psychologist. I know that she's asked me once or twice to pick her up and take her to it, but I don't know the person's name. She's an adult and she makes these arrangements herself. She just needed transportation. So I picked her up from physical therapy and took her to the therapist's office and dropped her off.
Okay. Did she tell you whether or not the therapist or psychiatrist had prescribed medication for her depression or bipolar or something else?
No, that was never discussed with me.
Okay. Pass witness.
Any redirect?
No, thank you.
Guys, one question.
You may.
Have you ever seen her hire drunk?
Absolutely.
Any other questions? When was the last time you saw her intoxicated?
I'd say she appears to be clean and sober for the last 10 days that I have been around her. So the last time I saw her was about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Again, Your Honor, she doesn't like to come to the door. She stays in her bedroom. So I see her when she's outside with her dogs. I'll pop out and talk to her on the phone through text messages or whatever. But the last time I think I saw her that she appeared to be inebriated was about 2.5 weeks ago.
Can I ask one more question?
You may.
Did you tell the police about that you had custody already?
Absolutely not. I'll tell you, can I say what I told them? Because they called me at my work and they said, you know, what's going on? And I said, well, she didn't come and get her son last night and she didn't call and make arrangements to get her son. So I had to leave him because they called me in at the last minute to work because they were short on teachers. I had planned on staying home because my other daughter had been homesick and the officer asked me why I still had him. I said, well, I have him because mom didn't make any effort to get him back, and I told her that I planned on staying home with my daughter who was sick, and then he could continue to stay with me. The officer said, you know, is there any reason why you haven't, you know, made arrangements to return him? I said, well, I was told by a detective that with the information that I gave him that I should not return my grandson to her, and that I needed to file with Child Protective Services. And then he had them call me on Friday, and I gave them the same information, and they said, you need to come in and file for custody, temporary custody hold for him. So I was following the instructions of Officer Dillon and Sarah at the Child Protective Services, and the officer on the phone that called me, the sheriff's officer that called me, said, well, I'll take care of Tabitha, you go ahead and go by there before 4 o'clock today. So I made arrangements with my principal to cover my class. I left as early as I could and got to Child Protective Services, filed the papers, but it wasn't in time to get them over here to the court to get them signed off on Monday, so I came first thing yesterday morning.
You testified about someone making the statement that they were going to blow somebody's brains out.
Tabitha said she was going to do that to herself.
Okay. And when did she say that?
I wish I had written it down at the time, but it was about 6 weeks ago when I had custody of my grandson at that time. He's not custody, but he was with us at the time. And she was upset because she told Kyle not to come home. Kyle, the biological father, works across the road from me, and so I told him that under these circumstances he could stay at our house for the night. And she was angry that I allowed the dad to come and stay with myself and his son. And she said, you keep the child, I'm going to blow my brains out.
Okay. And that was how long ago that she said that? She made that statement?
If I were allowed to look at my records, I could probably give you a more
Will it
accurate.
refresh your recollection if you look in your records?
Yes, Chief.
Okay, you may look. If you find it, then you just make a note of when it was, and then
Yes, sir.
you can close your notes.
Your Honor, that was on January 25th.
So about 2 months ago. When she has ascribed blame to others for pipe, crack pipes and other paraphernalia being in her residence. Does she explain why in the world she's got people who would have that kind of thing with them in her house?
She just says, why the F not? I'm lonely and they're my friends.
Okay. How long has your daughter had a substance abuse problem?
Well, since she was 16.
Okay, and she is currently 31.
Yes, sir.
Okay, has she ever had drug treatment?
I think in conjunction with the residential care facility placements that she's been court ordered to do, I think they work with that as well, but it hasn't been a separate drug treatment plan. I think it's been kind of an all-inclusive.
Okay. In your petition, you have written this sentence, stated multiple times she needs to check herself in for mental health. Who are you referring to?
Yes,
Or who
sir.
is, in that statement, who are you referring to?
Absolutely, sir. Tabitha, in the last several weeks, month and a half or so, when she and I have talked about what's going on and, where she is and, what she needs to do to get herself together so that she can do the single mom thing, she said, if I didn't have my son, I would check myself into the mental health hospital. I'm so depressed. I can't get out of, again, she uses a lot of curse words, but I can't get out of bed. And I know I need help, Mom. I know this is bad and I need to get help. I just don't have the ability to do it. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms.
Wabe?
Wabe?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sorry.
Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
And Judge, if I could just be heard before you rule briefly.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay.
And Judge, I would just ask that you return this child back to his mother's custody. Judge, I get it. The whole case is based off everything Tabitha's told her mom. Good Lord, Judge. Everything's, there's been no evidence that says this child's beaten. There's been no evidence that says this child doesn't have a place to sleep. There's been no evidence that says this child doesn't have adequate clothing. There's none of that, Judge. It's awful interesting reading the petition. The petition says, drops them off every time I'm at work. Well, yeah, but Mom calls Tabitha and says I'm off work. And that's what, and he comes over, helps him out. Judge, Tabitha's got some awareness on her mental health issues. I've seen very few people be able to have. Very few people going through depression can tell you I'm depressed and really mean it. And it's crazy leaning on her mother for support and help and acknowledging her mental issues and talking to her mother about her mental issues and talking to her mother about what's going on, gets turned around and put back in here. There's been, we haven't had any medical records that says she's even been diagnosed. Even in the petition, hey, she's a felon. She's been a felon since she was 18 years old, Judge. I don't know of any Kentucky law that says two felons can't live together, Judge. I mean, most people find love in prison, Judge, quite honestly. But Judge, I've heard enough that says this child's in immediate danger that the cabinet can prevention plan with Tabitha, and work out some type of prevention plan. I mean, the child goes to Granny's every weekend anyway. But, you know, and that, as far as that, Judge, so that's what I would ask the court to do with this thing.
Okay. Ms. Gibson.
Your Honor, the only proof that the court has heard today is about the risk to this child. The mother's diagnosis, her continued untreated mental illness, alluding to suicidal thoughts or ideations recently. Even if you believe the mother's story, having drug users and homeless people in the house who would leave a crack pipe in the floor where a young child like this could get access to it, that's certainly a risk to this child. Being drunk and high every day would definitely impact a parent's ability to be a parent to the child. Being $2,000 behind in your rent signifies you have a problem. If you say, I can't get out of bed, I haven't worked since May 2021, there's a definite problem there, and it's not being addressed. There's no help being sought, there's no treatment being sought, so circumstances are not likely to change at this point. So we'd ask the court to grant temporary custody to Ms. Wabe.
Mr. Jones.
Judge, I agree with the Commonwealth. Mother's situation's not stable. She hasn't worked in a year. She's $2,000 behind on her rent. She's diagnosed with bipolar, and has, made some cries to help for mom, asking her mom to help her. Basically, threatening to blow her brains out in January, late January of this year. She's making bad decisions, bringing some guy into her home that smokes crack because she's lonely, drinking and smoking marijuana every day, high or drunk 2.5 weeks ago, observed by mother. And she said if she did not have her son, she would check herself into a mental health hospital. I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of. She is acknowledging her struggle with mental health, and that she needs to be able to put her son somewhere safe so that she can address her mental health and her addiction issues. And I think that the court should help her with that today and protect her child by placing the child in the temporary custody of the maternal grandmother. And I hope that the Cabinet for Health and Family Services will facilitate her getting into dual diagnosis treatment facility.
Okay. The court is guided by KRS 620.080 subsection 2, which states that at a temporary removal hearing, the court shall determine whether there are reasonable grounds to believe that the child would be dependent, neglected, or abused if returned to or left in the custody of his parent or other person exercising custodial control or supervision, even though it is not proved conclusively who has perpetrated the dependency, neglect, or abuse. Ms. I think Ms. Wolf's statements to her mom, Ms. Wabe, demonstrate that she is not in stable circumstances. She has untreated mental health problems that she's admitted. She has admittedly been suicidal. She has admittedly had drug users in her home. Blamed them for leaving their paraphernalia laying around. And to think that that paraphernalia belongs to others, strangers, is the best way you can look at that evidence in a light most favorable to Ms. Wolf. She is not working, hasn't for a significant period of time, so that she is behind in her rent, has to depend on the charity of others to satisfy her own needs, much less the needs of her son. The court finds that under the circumstances that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the child would be dependent, neglected, or abused if returned to or left in the custody of his parent, in this case, Ms. Wolf. So the court places the child in the temporary custody of the cabinet. Is that what the Commonwealth is requesting today? Or place the child in Ms. Wabe's custody?
Yeah, this petition was filed by Ms. Wabe, and she asked for temporary custody, so
Okay.
we don't object to that.
Then the court will place the child in the custody of Tanya Wabe.
Your Honor, we'd ask the cabinet to do a home evaluation, Ms. Wabe's home, please.
Okay, the cabinet will perform a home evaluation of Ms. Wabe's home.
And we'd ask the cabinet have discretion over visitation, please.
I'm sorry, say that again.
That the visitation for parents be at the discretion of the cabinet.
Okay. Okay, the court's orders are as follows then. The court finds reasonable grounds for removal. Child is placed in the temporary custody of Ms. Wabe. If the parent wishes for the cabinet to consider relative placement, then submit in writing to the cabinet the proposed relative's name and relationship, contact information, including address and working telephone number. Do all of that in writing. We don't have is anybody here from the cabinet? Okay, we do have someone here from the cabinet. Just give that information to her, and they will perform they'll perform a home evaluation. The court orders that the cabinet, you already have a case open?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That the cabinet assessed for services. The parties are ordered to cooperate and comply with the cabinet. Visitation will be at the discretion of the cabinet. And where is this child in school?
He has not been in school and his mother's request, but I work at Plano Elementary School and my principal has authorized me to bring him to school with me so that he is
Okay.
with me and in a safe environment during the day.
All right. Then, when do we need to come back?
Judge, we're not bound by any
Right.
particular time frame. Does council wish for a pretrial conference or set it for
Yes, set for
adjudication?
pretrial.
May 10th at 10:45.
I'm sorry, 10:45?
10:45.
Okay. Then we'll be here for a pretrial conference.
Yes, thank you, Judge.
And that'll be on May 10, 2022 at 10:45 a.m. For a pretrial conference. Okay, anything else?
No, sir, thank you.
Mr. Jones, you have anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Mr.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you all very much. Thank you, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Judge.
That concludes our hearing.
And do you want, Ms.